So I'm bringing back an old series I did ages ago, probably before anyone who watches this was watching my channel, which I called it Poker Life Lessons, I think, or basically just stuff I learned from poker. Because for like 3 years back there, between university, or this last year of university and my first couple of years of working in London in the corporate world, I had a big dream of quitting my job and becoming a professional poker player via online, via live, whatever. And I was playing poker like seriously, like all the time. And I was getting pretty good. Like I got to the point where I was actually making some money. I was a profitable player. But I quit. I ended up stopping working for 3 months and taking it very seriously. I never actually been able to become a professional, which is someone who lives entirely off poker winnings. But I learned a hell of a lot along the way. I learned a lot about myself in terms of taking on a very serious endeavor and like investing in myself. I spent a lot on coaching. I spent a lot on materials to get better. I spent a lot of time on myself learning how to play the game. And you just learn stuff about yourself in these endeavors, especially like a game like poker. You learn so much about the way the human mind works versus what is. So with games, it's like what is optimal versus like the biases that affect your mind. So humans are we struggle to think in pure like rational terms, and we struggle to look at empirical data like as well as a computer can. So like nowadays they have machine learning, I think it's just AI, but they have AI robots that are better at poker now. Like they're better at especially heads up poker that it's been beaten a while ago by computers, by AI. And they're just like, the solvers are just way better at looking at the data than we are. So you have to understand like a lot of what you think about gambling and games is quite irrational. And so that's what you're always consistently fighting. And I want to bring this into self-improvement, specifically around dating. So there's something called outcome bias, which is this idea that you let the result of the hand dictate whether or not you played well. And I want to bring that into dating. It's where you let the outcome of your dating endeavors like adjudicate as to whether you're making the right decisions. So in poker, you can get it all in aces versus kings, and you'll be 9-1 favorite basically to win, or is it 8-2, 80-20 to win that. And I think it's 80-20. I've actually forgotten the fucking odds. Let's hope I haven't played in 4 years. But yeah, you can get aces in versus kings, and you're a massive favorite. You're going to win like most of the time when you get your money in. But occasionally, you won't win because there's a percentage chance that they hit a king, or they hit a running flush, or they hit a running straight or whatever, and they win. So there is occasions where you will lose. Now, sometimes you'll lose more money than you want to in those spots because you just get unlucky. And like in poker, you can be the best player in the world and still lose. That's kind of the beauty of poker. You can be in the short-term variance, you can always lose. And if you lost £20,000 betting aces versus kings, it doesn't make, just because you lost a lot of money, it doesn't make your play incorrect. It doesn't make what you did wrong. It doesn't even make what you did unprofitable. In the short term, with the variance, you have lost a lot of money. In the long term, you've actually probably made, so the pot was 20,000 and there's what, a 90% chance of aces beating kings. You will have made 90% of 20,000. So you've made £18,000 on average in that spot. That's how the maths works. In the long term, if you played it out, you would always win £18,000 if you played that spot over and over again for like 100,000 hands. That's how the percentages work. So it's a case of, did you make the right play? And even if the result wasn't good, you can still say that mathematically you made the right play. So it's like, that's basically the idea. The outcome bias is you thinking that because you lost money, you did it wrong, when in fact, you can prove mathematically that you did it right. Now with dating, it's not as easy. So you can't just run a spot like 100,000 times. And also like humans, the variance in humans, like variable situations. This is why there's no such thing to me as like game. There's no such thing as being able to break this stuff down scientifically, because we just don't have we can't map out empirical data for human interaction. That's fucking crazy. However, there are a lot of experienced guys ahead of you, and they have a lot of experience in these situations, and they can tell you, if you go to the forums and say, I did this, they can give you a rough idea of whether or not you made the right play and whether it was your fault. That is what you can do. That's what I would advise you go and do. Come on the forums, tell us what happened. If you feel like you did something wrong and you didn't get the result you wanted on a date, we can say whether or not you could have done anything better based on the collective experience of tons of guys who are actually getting results. That's what I would recommend. So don't think the outcome means that you fucked up. That's what I'm trying to tell you. There's always things you can improve on. You can always be improving yourself better looking. You can always talk to more girls. But in terms of like, did I do the wrong thing? I often find it's quite rare that guys completely fucked up situations. There's so many variables, especially with girls, especially with dating, especially with getting laid, especially with like, you know, like logistics and whether or not like you just had the right, you were the right guy in the right time in the right place. There's so much shit that can go wrong. So I don't want guys to beat themselves up based on outcome bias in dating. That's all I've got to say on this one. All right, guys, I'm going to end it there. Peace out till next time.